Hello, my friends. Are we on? Check 1 2. Hike. Hello, my friends. So welcome to one more day of my video here. I had to throw my dog in the back because he was being a pest. Today I hope you stay with me. I've been a little bit troubled since 2 days ago. I have been calming down a lot, and I mean a lot. And so I've been seriously thinking about Mexico again, and what is it that's stopping me from going there? Well, for one, I have to put this van up for sale. And I have to, there's two problems. And they're not really big problems, so to speak. But the one, okay, so in order to move, I have very limited things with me to move. And they are less than, I called some shipping companies and they said that they are less than a closet size, which is good. Some of it I can even take them on an airplane, like my guitars, like 2 guitars. So anyhow, so I found out about that, okay? And I also called Social Security today. I spoke to them on the phone. And they said, yes, you can go and live in Mexico. Yes, your money can be transferred over there. But I have to talk, if I want direct deposit, which I have already in my bank, I have to negotiate with them to see if they're willing to send me that money to a bank that I will open in Mexico. And by the way, I already have a bank account in Mexico that I opened through this store that I got credit from a while ago. So that is active still, that bank account. So I could stick with them. And so I said, okay. But the problem is that they cannot ship your things unless you have a residency over there. So I don't have a residency. So that means I have to now, by force, I have to go talk to 2 relatives of mine that I haven't talked to in a long time. And I hope they don't close the door on me. And the reason is so that I could leave like now or the next coming week, those few items I have, and I mean everything. It's not a lot. It's a nice MIDI keyboard, like 4 guitars, just very small items. My electronic drum set, very, very small amount of things, and that's it. Not even clothing, not even clothing, nothing. No tools, no mirrors, no furniture, nothing. Just very small items. So I would have to leave them at their house, and immediately once I sell that van, I have to immediately begin looking for a place to rent. Most likely the fastest way would be an Airbnb, and take off. And then once I'm there, at the Airbnb, focus the majority of my time looking for a permanent place to live. And then once I find a permanent place to live, I would have to fly back to Tijuana and figure out how to package everything, which they'll most likely already be. And by then I could actually even take a backpack with some of my music equipment and some guitars by myself. And the big case would have the keyboard and some other electronic stuff that I cannot get rid of. I can't. And it would be very easy and doable. And that's the only way I could do it. The other way is I could get a storage, but why pay $89, $85 for a storage, for a tiny little 5x5 storage here in California, San Diego, if I can get the help from the relative? And maybe offer her $25, $30 a month for that help. And that would be the only way to do it. Because here's the problem. Even though I'm in a van right now, I looked at a trailer today, but it's in St. George, Utah. 16 foot, really pretty from the outside, very affordable, and it's gutted from the inside, which would be perfect. But I said, okay, what are you going to do with it? Well, I know what I'm going to do with it. Remodel it really pretty inside, but then where are you going to park? Okay, so you can go to Quartzsite and stay there for the winter, 4 months, because the rest of the time it's going to be freaking hot and I'm not going to be there in that heat. Okay, so where do you go? Well, you could either wander around the mountains and hope for the best, but the way things are going with our idiot buddy Trump, he's got me in fear of getting ticketed. I've seen other videos where people are even getting kicked out of public land from the locals. I saw a video, a couple of them, and all of that is money for gas. So you're going to be pulling a trailer, stressing, where am I going to park? Oh man, and I guess that's the way of life, that kind of life, that's the way it is. But the question is, do I have the tolerance for all that? Do I have the patience for all that? I have diagnosis of anxiety. I analyze everything to the extreme. I question everything. And the reason I believe I'm like this is because of my past. Okay. Living 20 years as this other person. Sorry. And not wanting to make a mistake that's going to cost me almost everything. Because I don't recall if I told you that I had a house. I think I did. I lost that house. I lost it. And I guess I got the taste of what it's like to own your property. But I was so alone, so depressed, when I returned that girl back, I thought I was going to get married to her. And then my family just turned their back on me. I had nowhere to turn, nowhere to run, who to call, because all the people that I knew back then, when I was living as this other person for 20 years, I didn't keep none of their friendships. The majority of those people were drug addicts also, or dealers, all of them. And the other people I knew, well, I don't want to go into that subject. But if you hang around the channel, you might find out, and I probably will start disclosing some things soon. But not right now, because I'm trying to protect myself. So I literally left that whole group of people, everybody. Okay. So I literally had no one to call for advice, for support, nothing. And then all of a sudden my family starts to orphan me. Man, it was tough, people. And it's been tough. So that's why I believe I analyze everything, because I don't want to fuck up again. I don't want to make the same mistake. I don't want to make any errors anymore. I can't afford it anymore, for one. And I don't think I have the mental capacity to fail again. I don't think I don't have the capacity to fail again. So that's why I struggle with every decision I make. And this is why right now, okay, so like I said, I saw the trailer, and it's a long drive. It's about 6-7 hours, depending on traffic. So I said, okay, if you get the trailer, then what? Okay, so you can go to Quartzsite, remodel it, blah, blah, blah. And okay, but then you're going to wander, because then where are you going to go? I said, well, I can go to Mexico. I could find an RV park. I could this, I could that. And then I start stressing, thinking, okay, so if you find an RV park, you can't really play your music loud in an RV park. Okay, so I can deal with, working with the volume a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But then I start saying, well, then you're going to start worrying about theft, because I don't have, a cheap $100 guitar either from China, and they're not in the van, it's in the apartment. I got one over here, but I didn't pay a whole lot for it, but it still means a lot to me. And so I said, wow, man. So then all of a sudden I started looking at Facebook, expats in Cozumel and other areas of those areas of Quintana Roo. And I begin to get very sad, very discouraged, because all of a sudden I look at where I'm at. I'm looking at a wall. I'm facing a wall right now. Okay. And even though I'm parked in a very safe place of Little Italy, I begin to get sad and ask myself, is this the kind of life you want? Trump literally ruined a lot for me with this whole parking bullshit and homelessness ordinances that he started now. It really fucked up, excuse my French, but it really fucked up everything I wanted to do with the van and the trailer. So now I had to start thinking about other possibilities. So then I said, okay, I said, look at these images of Cozumel. I've been there. I've been to Cozumel to scuba dive many years ago, like 8 years ago, I think it was. And I've been to Hawaii to scuba dive many times. I've been to Florida. I've been to Key West. I've been to Cozumel. I've been to Anacapa Island, Catalina Island, all scuba diving trips. But the most I've been to is Hawaii, the big island. And I was going to go there, to live there. But damn, the moving cost is so expensive. So I said, okay, if I went to Hawaii, I could go there now easily because I don't have all the gear I used to have. I used to have a lot of music gear now before, and I sold it all. And I said, but the problem is that where are you going to stay? And the cost of living there is expensive. I know all about it. It doesn't really deter me because it's actually a motivator for me, because the first thing I would start to do is looking for a part-time job so that I can use that money to rent a place and I could still keep my disability. And I love Hawaii. Oh, it's beautiful. I love the weather, the humidity. I love it, man. So I said, okay, that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. It's doable, it's possible, you know, because you could actually you can go online and there's people that are willing to rent you even a little tent space somewhere on their land, a farm, while you go and look for a job. It's motivating, believe me, it is. I wouldn't be depressed, that's for sure. I wouldn't. I would love it. And there's everything that I want to do in the outdoor. Okay. So I started to look at Cozumel. I started to look at, you know, other areas of Mexico down there. And again, this is way at the end of the tropic climate and the Caribbean side of Mexico. I said, damn, I said, the food is like super cheap if you know where to go. And if you're not afraid of going to a taco stand. But many gringos are, ooh. You know, I'm not. And I'm Mexican. I said, just think, man, you can buy tacos for 30 pesos, which is like $1.30. You know, big ones too, good fucking food. You can buy your favorite soda, Peñafiel Mandarin Orange, for, what is it, 22 pesos? A frickin' dollar and $1.10, I think it is. And it's a hell of a lot better than stupid sodas here in America. And they're good. Here they're what, $3 for a fucking liter? Filled with glucose, high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar. Everything is cheap in Mexico. The electricity bill, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks every 2 months. Every 2 months, not every month, every 2 months. You know, they subsidize your bill if you use the air conditioner during the season, during the hottest seasons. They lower your rate because they know you need it. And they're not gonna stick it up your frickin' ass like they do here in America. You know, $400 bill. I could literally buy a 4-wheel drive, an old beater up, 4,000 bucks. I thought about buying one here. I looked at him, the used ones, forget it, man. 18, 20,000, for a used one with real high miles. I said, if you were over there in the Caribbean side of Mexico, you could buy your little truck, man. And I said, on a day like this right now, when it's beautiful, sunny, sure, I can go walk down the harbor and look at the ocean and blah, blah, blah. But how much can you do that? I said, what I would rather do is spend the day snorkeling, for example, taking video underwater, make prints of really high, vivid colors, and figure out how to make them into really glossy images and print them out in big sizes and sell them. Open your own art little art shop of your photographs and sell them. It's just one example that I would love to do. I wouldn't mind. You can go scuba diving. You can join a coral reef conservation project where you volunteer your time. And a number of other things I could be doing. Because yes, I could be okay if I got the trailer moving around with all my music gear. I could, but I mean, there's other things I would like to do also. And I think the anxiety of having to worry about wandering is I think the problem I'm having. You know, do I really want to wander around, you know, pulling a trailer? And then there's the cost, man. If you break down, you know, if your transmission breaks down, man, those are expensive. You know, a blown gasket, head gasket. And then you stress and you stress and you stress, man. Money. What I want to see is the enjoyment of my money. And at the same time, I could be making money by creating videos, content about my life in the Caribbean side of of Mexico, you know. And I know that I could monetize it. And I know that I could get possibly sponsors. I know. And I love to edit when I have the right setup. And I know about audio. Like I said, I used to have my own adult video production 10 years ago. 2013 is when I stopped. Actually, even before that. So I know all about it. And I used to love editing. I used to love sitting there for hours and hours and hours. You know, not because of the footage, but because of the skill of cutting and pasting and transitions and moving, you know, a piece of clip from over here and then add, you know, other images above it, and then I mean, all kinds of stuff that I love doing. And then you get to the audio. Your mind starts getting so creative. And I loved that. I was starting to do that at the apartment, but man, as soon as this piece of shit druggie started just endless noises, man, all of that, even the music editing, the guitar playing in there, everything went dead. Gone. So this is why I'm now in the van to get a peace of mind. And it's working. It's working. The only stress I have a little bit is at nighttime because of my safety. I don't know what scumbag druggie will pass by or anybody with bad intentions, you know. Sometimes I worry that, you know, sometime in the middle of the night, I'll start hearing underneath the van, you know, somebody sawing my fucking catalytic converter, for example, you know. Yeah, I think about that. Or somebody wanting to rip off my chains. I got 2 chains on the back, on the bike, and 3 locks, you know, of somebody trying to break it. Or all of a sudden I hear a smash of the window of the driver's side, somebody trying to break in. I worry about that. I mean, I have my, you know, my little weapons. Where are they at? Well, I got 2. I got 1 right here, but I don't want to, you know, worry about that right now. I hope I never have to use them. So I said, man, I would rather have a little house and pay $400, even maximum $450 a month, a little house somewhere in the Caribbean side of Mexico, and be able to live in peace without the concern about noise that I'll be making with my music playing. And that's what I would like. Anyhow, so I think that's the direction I'm going. And I change my mind constantly, not every second, but I just get the feeling that if I go to Mexico with the trailer and move down to Ensenada areas and get a piece of land, I could get a piece of land, you know, $1,000 down, and there you go. And I said, but would you be happy? I asked myself, would you be really happy? So then I start thinking about it, and I say, yes and no. No, because I would be worried about lone people walking around the property, you know, observing you, see what you got, and getting robbed. Things like that, you know. I don't have friends that could stay there and watch the house while I go to the hardware store or things like that. I don't have family. I have nothing, people, you know. I'd have to buy like another car, a cheap jalopy, and just park it there so that it can look like somebody's there, for example. I'd have to leave like the music on and the TV on every time I leave, you know, things like that. And they'll worry about, you know, hey, is somebody observing me from a distance? You know, hey, is that guy gone? Let's see his regimen. You know, let's see what does he do during. Let's watch him. Let's watch him, so we can rob him. You know, or assault me. I know I may be exaggerating, but they are things that I have to worry about. Well, the good thing is that I did call Section 8, and they did tell me that if I leave this apartment, it will not affect my waiting list that I'm on, that I've been on for almost 11 years going on. So I guess what I can say is that I could give it a shot down to the Caribbean and stay there how long as I can. And if they called me from Section 8, I would probably come back, because what I would look for is a bungalow. Some kind of a bungalow somewhere, man. I will not return to an apartment, that's for sure, man. A duplex, maybe, as long as there's nobody upstairs. but it's just 2 units, or multiple units, but at least I'm on the corner. That I could do, and I can work with the sound. You know, I could work with it, and then I would come back. So, yeah, boy, 30 minutes. If you've reached this far, I truly appreciate that you've stood this whole time watching this video. I've been wanting to do a video about my refrigerator and the food that's, you know, in my refrigerator, and it's packed right now with food. So, God willing, tomorrow I will do that for you. And remember, I got a new phone coming in Monday with a really nice lens and a wide angle, better than this one. So I hope you stick around and like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.